Okay, please good afternoon, guys. I hope you guys are doing good. Let us continue the discussion. We'll discuss subroutine call instructions today because with that it should complete instruction set. Okay, subroutine call instructions. Okay, here. Okay, so subroutine call instructions. There are basically two types of subroutine call instructions. Okay, that is you know. Short jump, short jump in the sense, I mean, the target address is very close within a page. That is called as a absolute jump address, absolute jump, absolute jump range, a call. That's called as a call, and it can be a little far off or within any wrong location. That is called as a L call, long address call, long call. Okay, yeah. So the Okay, let us go to this document. Okay, so here it is. Actually, the basics were discussed. There is this thing we discussed earlier. Subroutine call instructions. L call. Basically, it's a 3 byte instruction. 3 byte means first byte is the operational code for L call instruction. Okay, so we write L call. So this is represented by 1 byte. This is represented by 1 byte. The target address, which is 16-bit address, will be represented by 2 bytes because 16-bit obviously it has to be represented by 2 bytes. Okay, this is L call. Similarly, we can have what is known as a the just a second. This is not smooth enough. The mouse dragging. Okay, somebody is on the line. We need to switch to the browser. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so that was uh, you know, L call. Next comes the A call, absolute call within a byte, within a page. Okay, and the page is of size 2 kilobyte. Okay, so 2 byte. First byte is the opcode. Operational code represents the first byte, which is the binary representation of A call instruction. Next comes the target address. Target address, which is represented by one more byte. Okay. So because it is within a page, 11 bits are used for the target address. Of course, 1 byte is 8 bit, but since it is within a page, sorry, not this. Since it is within a page, sorry, within a page, it is represented with a 8-bit address. Okay, let us see how does it work. We'll understand now. Okay, with an example, we'll understand the subroutine call instructions. Okay. This all this we discussed, before the subroutine is executed, the return address is saved on the top of stack memory, and on the execution of return instruction, the subroutine will return back to the calling program. Okay, this is also we discussed. We discussed with respect to in comparison with respect to C language also. That also we discussed. Okay, let's let us understand with the program. Okay, so I'll not go into this big program because our intention is to just understand A call and L call instructions and the target address, so that we have to understand. Okay, fine. So let us. I'll take the program, but yes, this. Okay, fine, no problem. Let me write a program because it takes taking the comments also. It will copy comments also. Okay, and take the program. Somebody is on the line. Okay, no problem. Yeah, there we go. What is the program? Will complement in the subroutine. Okay, fine. Yeah, let us do this. Let me write it. I'll explain this what I'm doing. A comma hash 055 was not 0. Sorry, 55 h. A call. Let us say complement. A call complement. So A call complement. unwritten recall delay. Okay, so this need to be repeated in number of times. Is JMP um, loop back. Loop SJMP loop. That's all. Okay. So where we have to loop somewhere here. Okay. Loop. Okay. Yeah. Loop and we have tried the target address. Okay. So the target address is within a range subroutine. This is optional, because until and unless if you want in a particular address, we can use this. Otherwise, also we can directly write the program. Okay, so we'll try both the ways. First, I'll not use this one because for a bigger programs in IS or interrupt service routines, we need ORG. We need to initialize PC again. Okay, not at least now. Okay, there we go. So we'll go to the subroutine called as complement. What we do here is, we complement the content of accumulator, CPL A, complement the content of accumulator. After complementing, we return back to the calling program. Okay. Calling program and end of the program. Very simple program. Okay. So let us see, how does it work. Let us first understand, how the things works. So first I'm initializing accumulator with 55, 55H hexadecimal data. Okay. Yeah. So 55H hexadecimal data. So what is 55H, guys? In binary, we can write it as 0101. Similarly, 0101. I'll call subroutine called as complement. In complement, what we do is, okay. So in complement, what we do is we take one's complement of the number. One's complement. Okay. What is one's complement of this data? It gives 1010 1010. This is nothing but AAH. This is nothing but AAH. Very simple. Okay. So and after complementing the data stored in the accumulator, we should go back to the calling program. Calling in the sense, in C language, you can call it as a calling program. In assembly, what we can say is we can go back to the point from where it was called, from the point where it is, where the compiler has to continue the execution. That's how we can say. We cannot say calling program here because there is no concept of main program, something like that. Okay, it's a single program. Within that program, we have a subroutine. That's all. Okay. That's how we can understand this program. Okay, so let us execute this program and let us see how does it work. Save the program, check for syntax error, build target. Okay, there is no errors. Of course, there is not a big program anyway to have many errors. Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah. Next is debug start session. This is used to convert the assembly code into the machine code. Okay, so what are the things we have to observe? Yes, we have to observe a few things here. We have to follow up a few things. No? That is the disassembly window. Okay, yes, okay, let me erase this. This is distracting. Anyway, we have understood what the program is doing. Very simple. Okay, this the first instruction is loaded at the address 0000. Okay, and what is the instruction, guys? Move A 55H. Okay, this move A is converted into its equivalent binary code called as operational code, which is 74H. 74H. In 74 is loaded in the location 0000. Okay, so this is the address. This is the opcode. Let us understand like this. If it is in a table format, I mean, in address wise, it is easy. Okay, in the next location 0001, the next immediate data is stored. Next immediate data is stored. What is the next immediate data? Is 55H. Okay, next comes a call instruction. Guys, observe this a call instruction. This a call instruction, a call complement. Okay, a call is stored at the address 0002. Okay, and the operational code is 11H. In the next instruction 0003, the target address, which is represented using the name, is stored. You can see here in the bracket, there is the C for code memory. Okay, C:0006 is the target address. How do we get this target address? How does the compiler calculate target address? We'll discuss possibly after this discussion. Okay, because it needs some detailed look into the compiler again. This disassembly window. So the target address is stored in place of complement. We cannot store complement in the location. We have to store some data. This is a 16-bit address. Observe this target address is a 16-bit address. Since it is an absolute call, it will convert. It will take only the last 8 bits. That is 06. So 06 is stored at the as the target address at the address 0003. SJMP loop. Okay, SJMP loop represents at the location 0004. SJMP loop is stored. SJMP is represented as ATH. You can see that in the disassembly window, ATH. And the loop, where is the loop is? We are going back. I mean, if you observe this program, loop is a backward jump. Because why backward jump is because we are going backward. We are jumping backwards in terms of program execution. Okay, that's target address is FA. It is stored at that 0005. How this FA is calculated, we'll see. We'll discuss later. That's why I said for that we need to take a program. We'll discuss that. We'll discuss later. Okay. For timing, you understand that compiler is representing loop with a hexadecimal address FAH, 8-bit address. It's a 8-bit address. No problem. Okay. Next instruction is the subroutine complement A. So the complement A is loaded at the address. Return. So the location 6 is okay. Return. No. Before that, sorry, 0. Look, I forgot to. Okay. So look at this address. Next location is 0006. In this location, the complement A instruction is stored. What is complement A instruction? What we call operational code. It is F4H. F4H. Okay. Let's next observe this. In the next address, there is 0007. The return instruction is stored. Return instruction operational code is 22H. Return instruction operational code is 22H. That's all it is. Okay. So that's how the the what you call the operational codes are represented in the the disassembly window. Okay. That's how it is. This is how it is. This we can observe actually in the this here also. Okay. In the memory window down you can see this memory window. Okay. Let me rearrange a little bit. This memory window is okay. C:0x00 starting from 00. Okay, and in this address, let me erase these things for time being because yeah. So you can observe in this location whatever we had written now, that is operational code. Okay, is stored starting from the address 0000 up to the last address, which represents return instruction. Okay, yeah, that's how it is. Okay, let's go. Let us run the program. F11 on my keyboard. I'll execute stepwise in execution. Meantime, we need to observe the stack pointer. Why stack pointer is because stack pointer is important because the return address, the target address, it is it's shown here. Okay, the target whenever this ACALL instruction is executed. Of course, in this program, the authorized take an ACALL, no problem. When ACALL instruction is executed, the next address, that is the PC is pointing to the next instruction to be executed. Its address, that is 0007 in this program. In this program, this address is stored on the top of stack memory. To store this, the compiler executes push instructions. This we had discussed, when we discussed stack memory in detail. Okay, so let us not go into that discussion. Using push instruction, the target address is stored on the top of stack memory. Okay, so we need to observe stack memory. So for that, what we do is, so in the compiler, let us open one more window. There is address 0007, because we know that stack memory starts from 07, but it's not in the code memory. It is in the data memory. Okay. So from this location, before the program execution starts, Okay, somebody's on the line. Okay, so before the program execution starts, the stack pointer is pointing to this address. Okay, stack pointer is pointing to this address, that is 0007. But whenever this ACALL instruction is executed, stack pointer will be incremented by one value. It becomes a 08H. It points to the next location. It points to the next location. In this location, the target address, the return address will be stored. What is the return address, guys? When this ACALL instruction is being executed, the return address corresponds to SJMP loop. The address is 0004. Okay, this 0004 should be stored starting from the address 08H. Okay, so this should happen if everything goes well. Let us see how the program works. Okay, so F11 on my keyboard, execution stepwise. Okay, so first is I'm transferring that is there is 55 to accumulator. You can take any data, that's for complement purpose. I have taken 55. Okay, F11 on my keyboard, ACALL complement. Okay, please observe this. Did you observe this area? You can observe in both the locations. There is a stack pointer here also, as well as here. Okay, stack pointer. Observe this stack pointer. This what happens is program status word will not be affected. No problem. So when ACALL instruction was called, what happens is that this address, that is 0004, what I showed is already stored on the top of stack memory. Okay, out of 0004, 04 is the PC low, program counter low. 00 is the program counter high. So 00 will be 04 will be stored at the address 08H. That is in the first location. There is starting address of the stack pointer, stack memory. Sorry, 00 upper byte of program counter will be loaded at the address 09H. Okay, that's why you see the stack pointer address, guys. Okay, what is the stack pointer address now? It is 09H. Initially it was 07. Well, let us look into that again. I'll come back from the beginning. Sorry, not this one. Debug stop session. Okay, I'll run it again. Observe this location. Okay, this is very important. Debug start session. Okay, F11 on my keyboard. First, initially observe that all these locations are 0. First of all, stack pointer is also 0. And I need to. Okay, let me open. Okay, that in fact you can see that program status word is not important. Anyway, observe this stack pointer. What the stack pointer is pointing to? 07H. That means it is pointing to this address, the starting address 07H. But as the ACALL instruction is executed, it will upload the or store the address of the next instruction. In our case, it is SJMP loop on the top of stack memory, starting from the address 08H. By incrementing stack pointer by 1, it will store. First, it will store the lower byte of the program counter, and then it will store the upper byte of the program counter. Very simple. Okay, so F11 on my keyboard, ACALL complement. It will jump to ACALL complement. Okay, that you could observe here. ACALL complement. Here, the content of accumulator will be complemented. It becomes AAH. F11 on my keyboard, content of accumulator becomes AAH. Okay, so after that, observe this. It has come back to. It has jumped to next instruction, return RET. Okay, when RET is executed, what will happen is that data stored in the stack memory, that is 0004, will be copied back to PC program counter, because right now program counter is pointing to this address, that is 0007. Once this RET instruction is executed, it points to the next address 0008H. This 0008H has to be replaced with the address, that is content replaced with the address 0004, which corresponds to the return address of the main program. Okay, that's how it is. Okay, F11 on my keyboard, return instruction. Okay, you can see that it jumps back to the next instruction next to the ACALL instruction, and you can see that you can see this pointer also, yellow line, yellow pointer. It is now pointing to SJMP loop, because it was pointing somewhere here, when the return instruction is executed, pointer goes back to this point. Okay, how does the compiler knows that it has to go back here, not somewhere like somewhere here or here? Because it copies the content of the stack memory back to the program counter. Okay, that's all. That's very simple, just similar to C program, C function. In C functions also same thing happens, no problem. Maybe in C program we didn't study at the register level. In assembly program we study at the register level. Okay. So when we continue this operation, since SJMP loop is a what you call unconditional jump instruction, this operation continuously repeats. You can see that this operation continuously repeats. That is a content of A will be complemented each time a call instruction is executed. So this is an infinite loop, just like a while loop. In a C language we write while in the last class I was telling while -1 is a true. Anything other than 0 is an infinite loop. -1, -2, all are true except 0. 0 is a false. That's okay, fine. So this is subroutine call. So what we have to observe, one more thing here is that let us say instead of a call, let us use L call. So because we need to understand in terms of byte storage. So I'll go back to I'll start from the beginning, because each time we change the source code, save the file, check for syntax error. If everything is okay, debug start session. Observe the disassembly window. This is very important because we need to understand the L call. The address, number of bytes of address in the L call, because L call takes 3 bytes. First line move A, same as earlier. Operational code is same as earlier, 7455H. For L call, it is now replaced with the 16-bit address. L call 12H. L call is represented as 12. Complement, because now we have used the L call instruction, it has replaced complement with a 16-bit address, and the address is 0007. That's all it is. So L call will give 3 bytes. That's why we understood in the earlier discussion that L call gives 3 bytes, basically 3 byte operational code, whereas A call will give only 2 bytes operational code, 2 bytes operational code. And the operation is same base, it's not too different, the operation is same, but the only thing is the range is different. Okay, we can take any range. Okay, let us observe that. Let us say, for example, I'll use A call. Okay, and I take the target address, the subroutine address in somewhere in 2 for location. That is a ORT. Let us say 0. Let us take the address as 0 FF ACH, for example. Okay, some far off address. Let us see whether the compiler can jump to the target address. That's why that's what I want to observe. I have modified the code, save the code, build target out of range. Please observe this. The instruction used is a call. For an A call, what does the compiler expect is that the target address, that is complement in our case, subroutine complement, should be within the range of 2 kilobyte memory. 2000 bytes. It should be within, if you take this as a RAM space, this is each line represents 1 byte location. This should be within 2000 locations, 2K byte. 2K bytes are 2000 locations. Okay. If it is behind this address, the compiler generates error. So we can see that target is out of range, not possible. Okay. Whereas the same thing if you use an L call. Okay. So instead of A call, replace with an L call. Let us see what happens. Build target. Compiler says okay, because L call you can place anywhere within the 64 kilobyte of ROM memory. Anywhere within the 64 kilobytes of ROM memory. Okay. So for example, here you use L call. Okay, L call, and this target address, let us say complement, can be anywhere within the memory, anywhere within the 64 kilobytes of memory, and that's the advantage. Okay, so that's about subroutine call. So now we'll understand how does the compiler generates target address. If that is understood, it's very easy to appreciate the the operation. What is the is it address? Just a second, guys. Hold on a second. I'm trying to take again only 52 students, I mean, many students, I don't know whether they left the course, only 52 students on the, okay, let us see. Anyway, that attendance is being monitored, I think you guys know that, attendance is being monitored. Okay, here we go. Yes, okay. Okay, fine. So now next let us understand. We understood, the target address, I mean, range, A call, L call, that's all fine. So next let us understand, okay, so instead of subroutine, is it what this program, guess what on a second, push or okay. Okay, so what in this case the author is doing is, if push instructions are used in the subroutine call, where the address, where the content will be stored, it will be stored on the top of the stack memory. That's what the author is trying to, explain. So what I'm trying, what is the point is that, let us say for example, in this case, let us use one push instruction. Okay, something like this. Okay, fine, no problem. Somewhere here, let us say uh, push instruction. Okay, let us push the content of accumulator 0 E0H. E0 corresponds to the byte address of accumulator. Just to understand the content of the stack memory. Okay, so let us execute this program. Say the program, build target. I'll show you the where the complement subroutine is stored. Let us look into that locations also. Debug start session. Okay, so guys, if you observe, the program starts with the first address. There is 0000. In this case, move A first instruction is stored. We are not able to see the complete program. Let me drag this little low. Oh yeah, here we go. The first instruction is stored at the starting address. Okay, and the second LCall is also stored in the next consecutive addresses. SJMP is also stored, but the the target address is 0FFACH. Okay, so this is not stored anywhere here. If you can see, it is not stored here. It is stored in far off place. I need to, for that, to show that, I need to drag this. I'll show you. If I can, 0. This I'm going down. So that I'm going to that address 0F. I think I took a really bigger address. I think I need to further scroll down a little. Okay, where this FF, what is the address here? FFACH, somewhere here, somewhere little down. FFACH. I think I took a little just to show the L call and A call. The difference. I took this address FFACH. Yes, here we go. FF. ACH, no, it's a little more down. Okay, yeah, somewhere else. Observe this. Okay, guys, the target address, the subroutine is stored starting from the address FFACH. Here it is. You can observe here. What is the instruction stored in this address? Complement A. First instruction complement A stored at the FFACH. Next instruction push instruction is stored in the next consecutive address. Okay, fine. So that's how the instructions are stored. So now what we have to observe is, we have to observe the stack memory. This is the stack memory. So how the stack memory works? Whenever there is an additional push instruction, okay, along with the program counter content, how does it work? F11 on my keyboard. Okay, fine. When L call is executed, the content, the address of the the compiler jumps to the target address, that is complement. When it jumps, the return address. What is the return address, guys? There is SJMP. The address of the SJMP, which was let's go back here. I forgot the address. I think 0005. The address is this one. There is SJMP is address is 0005. Okay. So the lower byte 05 is stored at the address 08H, and 00 is stored in the immediate next locations. Okay, fine. So next what happens is that in the target, in the subroutine, complement A. So content of A is complemented as 55H. It is complemented. Okay. Next push instruction is used. Okay. Push the content of accumulator, whatever we have complemented here, on the top of stack memory. that is on the top means in the next consecutive address. It should be somewhere between, somewhere here. Okay, observe the stack memory location. Push 0E0H. Okay, what is the content of 0E0H? Is AA. This AA is now stored in the location next to the address where the content of PC is stored, where the content of PCH is stored. So content of PC was 0005. So first this is PCL, this is PCH. Okay, so PCL lower byte of the 16-bit program counter goes to the address 0008, PCH goes to the address 0009. Okay, and this push instruction is executed, that is we are pushing the content of accumulator. When it is pushed, it will store next to the program counter return address. Okay, so program counter means it is a return address. Okay, return from the subroutine. Okay, yeah. So when return instruction is executed, it will go back to the calling program. There is main program. Okay, F11. Okay, so okay, what is happening is yes, please observe this. It is showing it is not returning to the the target address. Why? Because it is trying to, let's observe this, it is trying to restore, trying to retrieve the target address. It will, to retrieve, what it does is, it will take the last 2 bytes from the stack memory. What are the last 2 bytes? It is 000AH. What it thinks is that this 00 is PC low and this 0AH is PC high. PC high. It is thinking that this is the target address. It is going to this address. Okay, so let us check here. It is going to that address. I think we can see that here in the PC program counter. Please observe this. This is what I was talking about. Okay, what PC is showing? PC is showing as a AA00H. Okay, that is A, correct, not 00. It is AA. Correct, not this address. Sorry, the address what the compiler is fetching from the stack memory. What it thinks is the return address is AA00H. Why? Because AA we pushed from the accumulator, we stored it on the stack memory. It thinks that this is the target address and it is trying to access from this address AA00H. But in this address, the content of this location is 00. Content of this location is 00. That's a mistake which is happening here. So what is the solution is that after pushing the instruction, let us do that also here. Okay, after push, let us pop it off. We'll pop it to another location. 0 is 0. What is the address of the B register? Again, byte address of the B register. It is, I think, byte address of B register. I don't remember. I forgot. B register, special function register. Somewhere here. Okay, so the address of B register is okay, here somewhere here 0F0H. Okay, 0F0H, because here we cannot use the name, we have to use the address. 0F0H. H is very important. Okay, so let us run this program. Debug start. Okay, check for syntax error, save the program, build target. Okay, debug start session. Did it start the session? It's running as it's running little slow. Okay, so this will with this discussion, the execution of subroutine in assembly language program will be more clear. So that's my idea. So if you understand in first year C, what we have studied, it is function. We have discussed at the higher level. We have understood at the higher level. So this discussion of subroutine is at the assembly level. But in C language, actually, this is what happens. But at that point, we are not aware of the assembly code. So, let's hold on for 2 minutes. It's this is I don't know what happened. This is still running. It's still executing the. Okay. It's still running the debug session. Please hold on a second. Did it run? Yes, here we go. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So debug. Okay. Guys, what are the locations we have to observe? Is of course the stack memory and the program counter. Observe both the locations. I'll F11 on my keyboard. Okay. So the next, see, whenever an instruction is executed, this indicates the address of the next instruction to be executed by the microcontroller. Okay, address of the next, this points to this, and this yellow arrow is the same. Yellow arrow, what yellow arrow, not arrow, yellow arrow, what it is shown in the disassembly window, and what the address is shown by this PC are the same. F11 on my keyboard. Okay, when this lcall instruction is executed, you can see that the address PC content will be FFACH, because it jumps to the target address, which is FFACH, which is shown in the program counter. Okay, so F11 on my keyboard, it goes to push. Okay, when push instruction is executed, it is pointing to the next instruction. Okay, so the content of accumulator now will be stored on the top of stack memory. Let us execute it again. There is push 0E0 content of accumulator. You can see that content of accumulator is stored on the top of stack memory. You can observe here this, you can observe here. Okay, and pop instruction, next instruction is pop instruction. In this pop instruction, what happens is the content of this stack memory, which was recently stored, that will be copied into B register. B register you cannot see here. Let me clean it up so that you can see the B register. Observe the register B now. So what are the locations to observe is, one is PC and the other is the B register. Other is the B register. Content of B register. F11 on my keyboard. So content of B register becomes 0 AH. Okay, so the content of B register is AH. And when the content of B register is AH, PC will be pointing to the next instruction. Next instruction is return instruction. When return instruction is executed, okay, it should go back to the starting address. That is return address. And the return address was 0050, which was already stored in the stack memory. That is popped off by the microcontroller, and it will store that address in the PC. And from this address, microcontroller continues the execution. Now the sequence is correct. Earlier, what had happened is I had used only one push instruction. So thereby this data was stored on the stack memory. Microcontroller, when this instruction was not used, that is pop pop F0A was not used. When a RET instruction is executed, it will fetch the return address from the top of stack memory. It fetches 00A0H, which happens to be the wrong address. So okay, so thereby, especially in this kind of subroutine instructions, one important thing we have to remember is, whenever we use a push instruction, we should also use a pop instruction to make sure that the content which was loaded on the stack memory is retrieved back to some register. Thereby, whenever return instruction is executed, compiler stores the return address, correct return address, to the program counter. If wrong address is stored, it will go to some wrong location. It will start executing that location where nothing will be there. There is nothing but NOP, no operations. Okay, it will not execute any instruction because it is accessing a wrong address. One more thing, what you have to observe is, guys, that the stack memory is not erased. Stack memory still has the content of accumulator which was stored on the top of stack memory. Okay, but stack pointer is pointing to the proper address. Stack pointer will take care of the proper address of the proper location in the stack memory. It's okay. So that's how the subroutine call instruction works. Okay, this is very simple. So that's okay. So let us understand the one. How does the microcontroller calculate the target address? I want to show it using one example here. This is no, not this. I don't know whether it is here in this document. I don't think so. I think it's not there. Okay, so I'll. It is not here, guys. It's not here. C program is starting the next class, of course, but I'll show you that how the microcontroller calculates the target address. For that, I will need to go back somewhere here. Yes, I'll show you the picture. Jump instruction. Okay, just a second. Jump instructions. Yeah, somewhere here. I think jump instructions, we have discussed all type of jump 0. We have discussed all type of jump instructions. Yeah, guess here it is. This is what I was talking about. Let's observe this. I think you'll be able to, okay. Will you be able to see this, guys? Let me make it 80% so that maybe you can little bigger one, so that I think this is little too big. Okay, this, I think this is okay. This fits properly. Okay, guys, let us say we have a program that is, assembly code. This is the line number, that is number of the number of instructions in the program. PC. This is similar to disassembly window, guys. Whatever what we are watching now is equivalent to a disassembly window. If you see the disassembly window in a compiler, this is what is stored. Okay, first comes the, of course, line address is not given, PC, operational code, and then the instruction. Similarly here, of course, one additional line is included just for understanding purpose. First comes the PC. Of course, first comes the line number, then PC, operational code, and then the instructions. Okay, that is mnemonic of the instruction. Somebody's on the line. Okay, so thereby, just a second, in case if I have not taken the 52. Yes. Okay. So let us say, for example, guys, don't worry about the program. Some author has taken some random instructions. Just to here, what is our intention is to understand how does the compiler calculates the target address. For example, let's say we have used the instruction jump instruction. Okay, jump if the content of accumulator is 0, jump to the target address, which is represented using a label. Okay, label is just a name, English name. Okay. How does the compiler convert this English name into target address? Let us understand that. Okay, fine. What is the first instruction, guys? ORG. We know that this ORG is nothing but a assembler directive. No assembler directive has a operational code. Either the ORG or end assembler directive, they don't have anything called as a operational code because they are not the actual instructions. They are the instructions to the assembler. It's not an instruction to the it's not an instruction by the programmer. It's the information to the assembler. Okay. Next instruction is move R0, 0, which is represented as 7800. Okay. So at the address 0000, 78 is stored, and the address 0001, the 00 is stored. Okay, 00 is stored. Okay, fine. Because next instruction is move A, 55H. Okay, move A is represented as 74. That is at the target address 0002. 74 is stored. Oh, sorry. This is 74 is stored, and the address 55 is stored at the address 0003. You may ask a question: why this 0003 is not stored? Because this address content of PC will show only the starting address of the instruction. The instruction may store 2 bytes, or the instruction may store 3 bytes. Not all those locations will be shown. Okay, for example, 3 bytes. Out of 3 bytes, it will show only the address of the first byte. This we had seen in our compiler also. For an LCall, observe this: 0002 represents LCall instruction, which is 3 byte instruction, 3 byte operational code. It will show only for the location 0002, which is 12 edge. At the location 0003, it has content of FF. At the location 0004, it has the content as AC. It has content of ACH, FFH as well as that's all. Okay, that's why they are not showing location wise. It is understood. It is quite quite straightforward, and it is quite quite clear. Okay. Next instruction, guys, observe this. Next instruction is jump JZ next. At the location 0004, 60 is stored. 60H corresponds to JZ. 60 corresponds to JZ. Next is replaced with a operational code which represents the target address of the instruction. Next. Guys, where is next, guys? Next is somewhere here. Okay, what is the address of next? Please observe this. What is this? It's not the address of next actually. It is the address of the first instruction of this subroutine, or the instruction which is pointed by next whose address is 0009. What does the compiler does is, it will take the difference of these two. What is the difference of these two guys? That is 0006 and 0009. That is 0009 and 0006. What is the difference? 0003. This 03 is stored as the operational code for the target address, which is represented by a label. And this operational code becomes part of this instruction. Operational code becomes part of this instruction. Okay, 60 represent JZ, 03 represents the target address, which is represented using a label. Very simple. Next instruction, increment or not. Why increment or not? Author wants to elaborate in detail, so that's why author has taken one instruction. Okay, next is again subroutine again increment A. Okay, so again is coming from somewhere somewhere here. There's again somewhere here. Let us see this. Okay, so increment A, it comes to here. It will execute the instruction JNC. Next instruction is this next jump instruction is JNC. Jump if no carry over. Okay, where is over? Over is somewhere here, far off place. Okay, the JNC, this instruction is loaded at the address 000B. The operational code representation of JNC is 50H. Operational code representation of JNC is 50H. Over is a label which corresponds to the instruction add A, R3. Where this instruction is stored, it is stored at the address 0012H. Okay, fine. So whenever the jump is in the forward direction, this arrow represents the forward direction, the blue color arrow. This red color arrow represents the backward jump. Okay, fine. So let us discuss with respect to blue color now, because we are taking forward jump. This over, okay, jumps somewhere here, whose address is 0012H, and this instruction JNC is at a address 000BH. What does the compiler does? It will take the difference of these two, that is 0012H, and the 000BH. Okay, the difference is 0005H. 0005H. Okay, this 05 is the 8-bit lower 8-bit of the program counter. This will be stored on the top of sorry, not on the top. It will be stored as an operational code as part of this instruction. Okay, so JNC over is represented using the operational code 5005, where 50 represents JNC and 05 represents the target address, which is represented using a label. Okay, fine. So let us run the program like this. We'll come somewhere here. Over is also okay. Next, observe this instruction guys. JNC again. Okay, JNC, this instruction is loaded at the address 0013H. Okay, this is not a problem. This is the address where the instruction is stored. Okay, JNC is represented using the operational code 50H that we have seen in the earlier JNC also 50H. Okay, but now the target address again, the label again corresponds to target address, which is loaded in the backward direction, which is pointing to the backward jump. It will take a jump backwards. Okay, it will take jump somewhere here. Okay, in this case what happens is that, now what is the address of this again, where this again corresponds to the instruction increment A, where this increment A is stored. Increment A is stored at the address 0007H. Okay, what does the compiler does now is that it will subtract this address, there is a target, there is a JNC instruction wherever to whichever location is pointing. This address will be subtracted from this address, that is 007. Okay, that is something like this. Let me write here, guys. I don't know whether you can see this, what I'm writing on this red strip. Okay, let me erase this. Let me erase and write here. No problem. Okay, yeah. So the address is 0007 minus 0013H. All these are hexadecimal addressing system. Okay, the difference of this is nothing but FF F2H. You can check in the calculator. It is FF F2H. Out of this FF F2H, since it is a short jump, it is not bothered about upper 8-bit address. It will take only the lower 8-bit address. Lower 8-bit address is F2H. This F2H is made part of this instruction. That is, F2H is used as a operational code which represents the target address. Okay, so thereby For this instruction JNC again, the operational code is 50F2. Why F2 is because it is representing the backward jump. Okay, fine. In other way around, how to understand this? How to calculate? What is a different way of calculating this? Okay, this we can also calculate as subtract larger number, smaller number from larger number. That is 0013 h, of course. Oh, sorry, this, yeah, 0013 h minus 0007 h. Okay, so whatever you get, I think it is 7, 8, 9 a. Okay, guess maybe around okay, whatever we get here, because I'm not sure, because I need to calculate anyway how much it will be. 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. Because it is around 12. It is 12. Okay, 0, 0, 1, 2. When you take 1's complement of 0, 0, 1, 2, 1's complement of 0, 0, 1, 2, we get the address as FF F2H. Let me check. I'm not sure. 0012. No, I guess I'll try. If I get it properly, fine. Otherwise, in the next class, I'll clarify. 00 0 0 0 0 0 0. What is 1? 0 0 0 1. 2 is 0 0 1 0. Take 1's complement of this. 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 0 1. Did I go wrong? I'm not sure. Okay, this 4 and this 4 is okay. Here it is 1110. Sorry, again I think I made a mistake. Okay, let me erase this. Yeah, this is 1. Okay, for the I think I made a mistake here. This is 4 4. These are 4, and there should be 1 0 here. Correct. This last byte, last 4 bit I have written wrong. For 2 it is 1 only I have written wrong. Sorry. Let me erase these 4. So 0 0. 1 is 0 0 0 1, 2 is 0 0 1 0. Okay, now it's okay. 1's complement 1 1 1 0 1 1 0 1. Okay, this is nothing but F these 4 E. I guess what is this will be this. Then I think I got it wrong. FF E2 na. Okay, FF. No, it is not E2. Sorry. This is not good. Sorry. Okay. This calculation I'll show you in the next class. No problem. Okay. But this how to conclude. This how the compiler calculates the target address, and based on that, it will store these addresses, and there is operational code in the memory, and these operational codes are actually executed by the microcontroller to run a task or to run a program. Though the program is written in assembly language or C language program, it will be converted into what is known as operational code, which will be run by the assembler, okay, to execute a task. And this operational code is somewhat what we see stored in the represented in the what is known as a disassembly window of a kill compiler. Okay, so you can see that operational codes like this. So these are nothing but operational code which were generated by the compiler, which are corresponding to particular instruction written in either assembly language code or written in a C language. That's okay. It's fine. Because this calculation I'll show in the next class, guys. Because it is actually it's correct, but I don't know why I got it wrong. F2H should be the address. Okay, so I'm sorry. Yes, it's correct. Okay, this just a minute. I made a mistake here. That is because when this instruction is being executed, PC is pointing to the next location. Okay, that is 0 0 0. 1 5. Please give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. I understand you'll have a lapse. 0 0 1 5 minus what is the again corresponds to 0 0 0 7 0 0 0 7. What this will be is what is the difference? Let me open the calculator. Okay, why to struggle? Even I'm not sure because I'm calculator. Where is the calculator? Here it is. Okay, I should have used the calculator by now. Would have got the answer. Anyway, let's give me 2 more minutes. With that, I'll wind up. Okay. Okay, go to the hexadecimal scientific calculator. Okay, not scientific, not this graphic programmer. Okay, here we go. Hexadecimal. Let us straight away subtract the number, guys. 0 0 0. No, it is not working. 0 0. Oh no. Okay. This should be hexadecimal. Okay, no problem. 7 minus 15. F to H. See, this was straight away we get it as FF F to H. Okay, out of this FF F to H, this F2 is made part of the target address. Okay, F2 is used as an operational code which represents the target address. This F2 represents the lower byte F2. Sorry, I don't know why this. Okay, so the lower byte F2 represents the operational code of the target address F to H. This is correct. 7 minus 15. 7 minus 15 you directly get it, but okay, I'll try with the 15 minus 7. Okay, so I'm sorry, I think I'm running no. Okay, so 15 minus, I want to show it as a ones complement. 15 minus 7 is E. Okay, so this E is okay. Okay, correct. Again, now let's say okay. Now let's say 0 minus E. Yes, correct. F to H. Okay. What I did was 15 minus 7 is E. Okay. That is in this case, if you take it as E, what is E corresponds to? Of course, 0 0 0 E. Of course, something like this. All zeros E corresponds to 1 1 1 0. All these zeros are complemented as 1 1 1 1. This E is complemented as 0 0. Oh, F2. It didn't get F2. Oh, no, not EF, no, correct. No. I made a mistake again. No, this is one, not one. It should be 2. Yeah, okay, fine. Anyway, is that binary I'm making mistake, minus 14. But anyway, this also binary in the calculator we can find, 0 minus E, one's complement, we get again F to H. Okay, so that's how we calculate the target address. Compiler. Okay, compiler calculates the target address. But E should be okay, not E. Is anyway target address is negative. It gives E. E's one's complement will not be 2 EF, no, 1110. Anyway, sorry guys. Okay, manually I could not calculate. Failed. I'll try it again. I'll try it and I'll show somewhere in the next class. Okay, guys. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Stay home, stay safe, take care. See you later. Okay. Thank you.